All right, hey everybody, welcome back once again. So I'm gonna do an update on following Jesus for April and May. Um, 'Cause I didn't do one for April and it's now May. So basically, ever since my birthday, I have got my healing that I've been looking for. It came very quick. It came very easy. It was just like as if there were roots underneath my inside of me that had taken root, and then finally they sprouted and came forth. And so I got my healing that I've been looking for the whole year that I fought for. If you watched my video when I first did Lord, I believe, help that unbelief, I said that I had stopped taking my thyroid medication, which is a hormone medication. Everybody thought that the reason why I was leaving school to follow Christ was the fact that I had not been taking that pill. But I got my healing and everything without taking the pill. I'm still not taking the pill. So obviously, it was not the pill that was going to, that allowed me to be healed, but it was God. God was the one who healed me. It was nothing but Bible, prayer, and fasting. I fought really hard with my family on that. Um, because I knew that for me in my life, I've been in group homes, foster cares, group home programs, lockup, counseling, mental hospitals, been on psych drugs, everything. And, people would have gave all that the glory of helping me. And it was not until I found Christ that my depression started leaving me. Um, I still struggle with some things along the way, such as reverting back to cutting when people didn't listen to me. And certain things, I was thinking that they were doing things and that it was my fault that they were doing certain actions, that the fact that they wouldn't listen to me, so I would hurt myself as a way to act out. I didn't understand why I was doing that still, still being a Christian, still being saved. I didn't understand why I still dealt with that. I didn't understand. I had always had a problem with sleeping. I always had abandonment issues. Um, I actually, one of my friends actually kicked me out of their house, and I triggered something within me that made me kind of tweak, and I kind of flew off the handle because it brought me back to a time and a place in my life where I it brought me back to a time and place in my life where, when I was 13 years old, my mother kicked me out of my house, and then all of a sudden, I was constantly being bounced from house to house to house to house, to locker program to group home or whatever, and so they didn't really understand that in my life, and so they didn't understand why I had tweaked so hard. But it's because I have always been kicked out. I've always been, bounced from place to place to place, and I've never really had a stable home. So mentally, I've never been able to be stable because, I mean, if you think about it, I've never had a stable home. So if I've never had a stable home physically, how can I have a stable home mentally? And so I've been updating my blogs a lot and all the stuff that God has allowed me to overcome, talking about, my triggers and, healing from cutting and not cutting anymore, and, being able to have a stable home physically. And I think this is my first time ever being able to actually, like right now, I'm still at home. God's been restoring my family. So, for me, I've been here for probably about a year. And for me, that is a miracle because usually by now I've done ran away. And I know that even if I decided, hey, I'm going to leave, I don't want to sit here, I know that God would still open doors along the way if I decided, okay, I'm going to leave. Because even when I used to run away when I was younger, I always had a place to stay at night. Um, so basically, I've been overcoming all these giants in my life. So it's been a huge uphill battle. I had this issue. Someone told me when I was younger that I would be a bad mother. So God had me babysitting a little girl at one point, so that when I do have kids in the future, that I'll be able to have kids. I felt like, for me, in order to, I feel like this is what God's doing in my life in order for me to move forward and to be able to have a better life and to be able to be stable and be able to have maybe a family of my own one day. I have to overcome these things. Um, and to be able to help other people, because how can you really help people overcome if you haven't overcome these things yourself in life? There's no way possible that you can do that if you have not overcome yourself. So it's kind of like telling somebody, hey, let me help you overcome these things, but I'm still struggling with them. Like, unless people want to know that you have overcome them yourself. I've had abandonment issues. I used to sleep with a teddy bear, because my parents are not really around, and I lived with my grandmother probably my whole life, and so basically, I've always had an issue with insomnia, not being able to fall asleep, and, sleeping late at night, because I'm so, I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I sleep now. I have a regular bedtime at 12. Recently, I've linked up with an old friend, and so because of that, I've been falling asleep a little later, but I have an average bedtime at 12 o'clock. I wake up around 7 a.m. in the morning. Um, for me, I'm writing my books and I do my ministry, but I have a job. This is the first time I've actually had a stable job and really enjoyed my job in life, which it is that God has given me. So, like, these are, like, even though they seem so basic and simple, but for me, these are a lot of things that are really good for my life, and helping me overcome, which a lot of people take for granted in life because they know how to do it. So I did a lesson on No Child Left Behind, and I'm really glad that God did not leave me behind. And though I'm in the place I am now, for the time being, it's supplying my need, in which it is that I need for the time being. I should be moving. My whole family, God is moving my whole family uh, down to Florida now. He told my grandma actually a year later, after I first went to Florida, and then he told my grandma a year later that she was going to move to Florida. My aunt had been living in the Dominican Republic for about 10 years. God closed a bunch of doors in her life and sent her back to the States. And now she is now living here as well also. So there's the restoration of the family. So it's like me, my brother, my aunt, my little cousin, my grandma, we're all here grouped as one, and God is restoring us. We're able to function regularly as a normal family, which I have not seen my family do in my whole 23 years of life. So that's been really good. My aunt's also moving to Florida, so all of us, and then my brother just had a little baby with his girlfriend, and so we are and then they might also as well move to Florida. So ever since then, ever since God told me to, get up, basically he was telling me build an ark so that your family can be restored. Do something crazy, leave college. I'm gonna restore your family and do something with your family. So I see everything coming together. I see all the pieces coming together. It's been a long time coming. It feels really good to get my healing. I feel really strong and secure mentally. I'm still having some of my issues that I'm still having is trying to wrestle around with the doctors, um, because the doctors are still baffled and confused, because there's some things in my life in which I should not be physically being able to do, because I have not been taking my thyroid medication, like getting my menstrual cycle each month. I shouldn't be able to have that, or taking a normal bowel movement, and stuff like that, which they don't understand. I had an issue in December where I had a heart problem, and they tried to relate it to my thyroid, and not taking my pill. But around that time, I was going through so much. I mean, my friend got shot 6 times. I had to literally go and leave, and God was like, step on faith, do something. And then I ran into some things that like literally like blew me away. I was in so much stress. And then I came back, and God had me do a blog on the hard-hearted harlot, and how I was so hard-hearted and I needed to change my heart. And so after that, I haven't had any struggles with my chest or anything like that. So they're really confused on a lot of that. And recently, I'm not really a big fan on medication, because for me, like my whole life, I've had doctors always try to tell me this was wrong with me, and they could never figure out, why am I 23 years old and God fixed me in a year over something you guys been trying to fix in me. I've been in counseling since I was about 5. Why is it that God can fix what you guys been trying to fix in me for 23 years in one year? so I have my really guards and defenses about that. So I've been having a lot of struggles. Uh, I, you know, I so I want to be healed. That's my biggest thing is, I never I tell people all the time, I don't want to cope with my issue. I don't want you to cut, the issue out of my life, or to tell me, okay, you're better now. And then I have to take something, to constantly, try to replace the issue that you guys cut out of me. I want to be healed physically, like completely and totally utterly healed, like God heals, and a lot of people are having a lot of issues with that and thinking that I'm trying to be rebellious. But my whole issue is like, I want to be healed. If I can be healed and I know that God can heal me, then I can be healed. um so I'm really having a hard, issue on that, because a lot of people would have allowed me to go through my life coping with those struggles that, and, how would I, like, if I would have never followed Christ, how would have I had graduated from college, and how would I have been able to live normally? Because literally someone would have, like, done something in my life, and I would have, like, tumbled apart and crumbled apart. And if God didn't heal me the way he did this year, because now I can mentally be able to function in society. It was a different story, because, I say all the time on my Facebook, before I was just surviving, like it was just like, okay, I'm surviving, but I could never really live. I want to live. I don't want to have to survive day by day, like this is a war, like this is a battle within my own self. No, I should be able to live and function normal in society, and there's a lot of people who I look in life and I'm like, are they just surviving, or, just playing a part? Like, here I am in school, and I'm like just going with the motions of what everybody told me to do, and I'm surviving. I know how to go to school. That was easy for me. But within me, I had all these issues, and I can't even tell you how many issues which God has allowed me to overcome this year. Like, it has been some deep, deep trauma, like some very deep trauma. And so, for God to, I had to overcome the fact that, like I was having issue with wanting to touch people or embrace people, because I was afraid that, I learned at a young age that abuse was love, and so I was having a hard time with, learning how to, control my temper, or, and, certain things like that, when certain people said certain things that really would affect me, mentally, because they didn't know what I was going through, or like just being able to fit within my own skin, because I was always never told that I was beautiful, because I've always been bigger as a female, and there's no way that I should feel uncomfortable in my own skin because you don't like the fact that I'm overweight, like, I'm sorry. If I like myself, then I'm sorry for you, and I've had to learn that, embrace that. I've had jealousy issues where I had to understand that there's no one like me, there's no one like me. And that only came by, the fact that I was constantly replaced by another child, or, all the guys that I would always date, they'd always replace me with another person. I never thought that I'd be able to be able to have someone to stay in my life. So I always had, issues with manipulation and lying to convince people to like me, because I didn't think there was anything special about me for people to actually love and want to be here, and I overcame all those things this year. And I realized, I deserve to be loved, and my self-esteem has become, so much more better, than it was before in life. And, I feel really empowered, and I feel really ready to be able to help other people to overcome. I've seen a restoration in my life, within myself. It's been a beautiful restoration, within myself, within my family. But not only that, when I first got off the streets, and it's because, first it was I was going to change my life to be with a guy who, made me understand that people love. He wanted to be with me, and no matter how bad I hurt him, he still wanted to be with me, and I didn't understand that, and so I changed my life, and after that I ended up giving my life to Christ. And there was no type of restoration in that relationship. There was no way, and nothing would seem like it would ever come back together. That we would able to have some type of bond, some type of connection. And within through the year, actually, it was actually 2 weeks ago, God started restoring that relationship. So I've seen God restore impossible relationships in my life, and it's really good just to have a friendship. There's nothing more there. When God first had me leave school, one of the three things he told me was to forgive my mother and my father. Well, that's two in one. And to let go of the person who helped me want to get off the streets. And so I let go, and so I could move forward, so that I could be able to have a family of my own one day. And because I was holding on to them, because they played a really big role in my life. Like, if you helped me get off the streets, if you helped me want to change my life, like, I was reckless, like, like, if I had not got saved when I got saved, I really would have died, on the streets for the period. If he had never came in my life and like slowed me down to make me want to like change my life, I would have died. And so, for me, for us to be able to be friends again is big for me, because, a lot of people were having issues with it because they don't understand it, but I would have died. And a lot of people don't understand that. And so, within myself, like, a lot of people, they think they know your story because, especially my family, I come home every night, but, did they really know the things that I did in the streets? They didn't know the things, the people I hung out with, the gang members, the drugs, the partying, the drinking, the wild, crazy stuff that I did. Did they know? Did they understand? No, I would have died. There is no doubt about it. I know. And so, I'm very thankful, because now I get to have, a relationship, a friendship with them, and it's very great, because I was able to let go of my feelings, in which, uh, you know, I used to question God, God, why would you do this? Now I changed my life, there's no turning back, but, I appreciate it, because now, I never thought that I would be able to have a regular, normal friendship, and we've been able to hang out and like go to the movies, and just, hang out in the downtown, area where I stay. And so it's been very, very nice and different to be able, and I was actually talking to someone the other day, and they said, sometimes we don't understand, but God will send you home, only because, it was easy for me to, sit there and teach the gospel and tell everybody what's going in my life, and them not really see me, because I was never home. But it's a different story when you're home around the environment. You think about the demon possessed man, that was like me. He had all these issues until Jesus met him, and Jesus said, go home. And he went home, and I bet that all the people who were home probably thought, hey, wow, look at the changes that were made in your life. And so that's what I feel like God is doing, because a lot of people who are here remember me from back when, and they're confused because they know that I've never kept a stable job, or I would allow men to sleep over my my house, or I would, there was a lot of things in which I did. I was always, since I actually was in a relationship and things, they didn't really understand my healing, and so things kind of went our separate ways. But I'm still, praying that God knows what He's doing in the process. But I'm still, waiting for God, and I'm not rushing into anything, and it feels really good, because for me as a person, like, um, I've always been so thirsty for love, and so it's really good for my friends to see that within me, I'm not bouncing. Once one guy leaves, that I'm not bouncing from guy to guy. So I guess it works out, because they're so used to when one guy leaves, I bounce to the next, and the next, and next, and next, and I'm no longer that person. And one of the biggest things that God has really worked on me was my thirst for love. Um, I can't say I was, I have been a thirsty female my whole life. I've been very thirsty, but it's not because, I wanted to be like, oh, hey, I'm thirsty. When someone's thirsty, there's a lack there. You know, there's a lack of something, and I had a lack of love within me. You know, I don't live with my parents. You know, my parents aren't around. You know, and from my grandmother, you know, she works a lot. You know, so who was really there to really love on me? You know, and you know, I went out there and you know, I did what I saw. I messed around with guys, and I just, no one really loved me the way I needed to be loved, and so I just kept searching for something, and it seems like the more I gave my body away, the more of me was taken away. And so to a point where like I was so thirsty because it's like drinking a cup of water. The more, it's like the more you drink on it, there's nothing left after. And it's like, okay, well, people were constantly pulling on me and taking the little bit I had left, and till I had basically nothing left. So, I God has really been able, like, I remember it was probably 2 years ago, God told me he loved me. And so that's when it first started. And so here I am now, and being able to heal. And I've done a blog called The Hard Harlot Harlot. So being able to heal from that has, made me understand that I'm worthy of love now. So now that I understand that I'm worthy of love and that I'm worthy to be loved, I'm no longer searching for love like I once did, because I know that I'm worthy of it. And I know that someone can love me. That I can receive love. That, I am loved, and I'm not starving for it like I once was. Like, I know that I'm loved and that I'm worthy of it. I never thought I was worthy of it. I never thought that anyone would be able to love me. At 11 years old, I told my mom, all men leave, and so now I know, there's a different story. If someone loves you, they love you, and they're going to want to be there, and they're wanting to stay dedicated and care. And, those are things that, I didn't know, being 23 years old, no one taught me. So I've been learning a lot of things in which, were never taught, and a lot of, my family would have left me out cold, and a lot of the things in which I was never taught. If I never went to the group homes, would I have known how to do laundry, or, some of the stuff that I do now? No. Because, a lot of stuff was never taught to me. I was always taught don't date or don't have sex. But, when my parents was out there with guy after guy after guy, or I lived in a household where my parent, the parent who I was with was going through a separation, and there was no man around, so who was ever going to teach me, that it was okay to love, or that I could be loved, instead of I just got, oh, you're a Christian, don't have sex. Okay, no one ever explained anything. So here I am walking around stupid, because, there needs to be a teacher, like, in order to know. And so I've had to fight for this. I've had to really fight for this because, I actually got made fun of because I didn't know a lot of these things. Like, how can you make fun of someone just because they don't know these things? Like, it was never taught to me, and as much as, people can look in at my household, or things in life in which, they think, oh, okay, they have this and that. But if it's never taught to you, then you're just going to remain stupid, you know. I mean, point blank, period. And so that's why I'm making it my key so that I can learn these things so I can teach other people, because no one ever taught me, and I actually, had a conversation with a friend the other day, and, they were like, well, I watch my parent as they go out there and they mess around with all these people. And then, their grandparent was telling them don't have sex. They're like, and then I don't understand what it is that I'm doing. And if I'm not the only one out there who's going through the same struggle, there's other people who's going through that same similar struggle where they don't know what to do because no one ever taught them. I mean, it's wrong where I have to sit there and talk to my friend and they're like, I've never thought about being married because no one said it was possible for me. That's sick. That's sick that there's people out there in that world because of, the things that happen to them in life and society. And so I'm making it my key for this to be what, I strive for in life as I go on. I've been doing my lessons. They've been slowing down a little bit more because I've been doing a lot of blogs. I'm about to do a lesson on inheriting the land, and the things in which God the Father gives us. And so I should be working on that. But I just wanted to give you guys a little update on the things that have gone on with me since April. Um, I'm very encouraged. I'm working hard. I go to work and then I come home and I do my ministry. I recently just got a new computer. And I'm just, right now I'm just working on things little by little. I've been like going to the doctors and stuff like that, and they've been really confused and not understanding a lot of things that God can do. And so I guess I'm just trying to be listen to God and be a testimony all over. A lot of my family thought I was relapsing at first, and which I did find out. Um, but in the end, like point blank period, I found out like as being an ex-offender, people make it a lot harder on you. They make it so much harder on you, and then they think they know you, and they don't really know you or the changes that God has been making in your life. And I'm just thankful that, through it all, that God can use me as a testimony to let people know, even back home from the people who thought they knew you when, to know that, look, I've changed, and I'm not the person who I used to be in point blank period. You could try to put me in that category or in that box. Like, I used to love the city. I go to Boston, I've been to Boston probably about, give or take a handful of times, probably like 10 times. And, for me, that's not a lot because I used to go into the city every single day. And run with people. I don't talk to people in the city. I don't hang out with the you know gang bangers or do drugs or anything. I'm home every night, doing what I have to do, and that's a good testimony unto me. And just to believing that God changes. I'm not up here sleeping around with people like I once did, and doing those things in which I once did. If they see that I am going to work and I am, writing my books and I am striving for those things, and I know it sounds so strange to people or little to people, but I see the things in which God's doing, and so, I see the lives being changed, and so, I mean, however God wants to use me at the time being, I'm still writing my books, I'm still trying to do the things in which God wants me to do, and so I'm taking it one day at a time. It can be hard some days. Some days I just don't understand. Some days I feel like I'm just going in a repeat cycle. Some days I feel like I'm being delivered. Some days I feel like, God, what are you doing? I feel impatient. I'm ready to go. I don't want to be in Massachusetts anymore. I just want everything to already come together because I just, but I guess I just have to wait on God. And I just thank you guys so much for, watching as God is, doing these things in my life and following the walk in which as I follow Jesus and the things in which it is that he's doing in my personal life. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in for my April and May update of following Jesus, and I will be updating you guys again in June. All right, you guys, love you. Peace.